This has probably been the worst video filming of my life because I just keep having to remove more data from my phone. I don't understand. I literally just deleted so many videos and it's still telling me that I have no storage space. All right, let's just hurry up and get this done. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you the next episode in my Read With Me series. Just a reminder, this series is where I talk about all the books that I've been reading and how they fit, if they do fit, into my 2 reading challenges. The 2 reading challenges I'm currently working on are the Color Me Reading Challenge, created by Samantha and myself, as well as the hashtag Pan Your TBR Bookshelf, created by Amy. I'll have all those details linked down below, as well as other people who have joined in on the journey. Please let me know down in the comments if you are keen to see Samantha and myself bring the Color Me Reading Challenge back for another year. Let me know all the details. But now to jump into the books I've read since last update. I have managed to get through 5 books, with 3 of them being audiobooks and only 1 book actually going towards one of my challenges. I am very behind on my challenges and it is not going the best. But let's jump in and we'll discuss the books I've managed to finish. First up, we have Attention Management, How to Create Success and Gain Productivity Every Day. This is by Maura Neville Thomas, and it is one of the books in the Ignite Reads series. I read the Happy Inbox last update, and I'll link that up in the cards so you've got some details. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. It is a very easy read and it basically goes through some tips and tricks on how to get more organized and to stop things like burnout, control your technology, how to deal with distraction and flow and all those kind of good details. They even have 4 quadrants of attention management for productivity. So basically you can either be reactive and distracted, in flow, in daydreaming, or in focused and mindful. And there is almost a time and a place for all 4 of those quadrants. Though obviously the goal is to get into flow more often than not. I have started to try to utilize some of these tips and tricks in real life, and I would recommend this book to anyone who would like to improve their attention management and gain additional productivity during their working day. I will say I've probably managed to implement this more so in my personal life when I'm talking about getting jobs done, etc., than I have at work, because things come up a little bit more so in my work life. But I am definitely utilizing this book to hopefully benefit the way I'm seeking attention, putting my intention into practice. So if that's something you'd be interested in reading, I would definitely recommend this book. The next book I read was an audiobook. So I will put the picture up here, maybe up here, probably up here. This one was the 3rd book in the Kiss Quotient series. It was called The Heart Principle. This book focuses on Kwon, who is my favorite character from the other 2 books, and he meets a lady who is a violinist named Anna. It is just like the other 2. It is very much a love story and characters coming together and overcoming their own issues to be in a relationship together. Anna does have autism, though she's not aware of that at the start of the book. And once she is aware, once she has been diagnosed, it takes a lot for her family. In fact, they are very against accepting this diagnosis. Anna struggles throughout the book with burnout, emotional overwhelm, and people pleasing. It is something that does heavily affect her relationship with Kwon, who has a real bad boy persona that her family do not accept. He's just fun, not somebody that you're going to be with long term. So from the opposite side of that, Kwon deals a lot with his own emotions about the situation. For those who have read the other book, Kwon was diagnosed with a medical condition that required surgery, and it has drastically changed his self-appearance and I guess body image. This is his first relationship after dealing with such a large change to himself and his body and his experience of his body. And that plays a heavy role in their relationship as well. So as you can imagine, you've got a situation where Anna's family do not see Kwon as being suitable partner for her on the long term, and Anna's people-pleasing tendencies. And that going up against Kwon's personal opinions in himself, his self-doubt, his poor self-esteem that have come out of his illness. They ain't working together. There's some conflict. There's some drama. And considering that Kwon is my favorite character, I'm just hoping for him to have a happy ending. I really did enjoy the ending because though it was, I would say it's happy, in the sense of a romance novel, they end up together, you know, love and all that stuff. But it's also not so happy. It's more like a slither of hope in a bad time. I did enjoy the book, but considering that this book was based around my favorite character, I'm sad to say that I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the others. I think I preferred the second book in the series, which is actually the first book I read, which was The Bride Test, that follows Kwon's younger brother. But overall, I did enjoy it. So I would definitely recommend reading the Kiss Quotient series, especially if you enjoy a romance with some neurodivergence in it and some spice, just a touch of spice. The next book I read was What Your Clutter is Trying to Tell You. Uncover the message in the mess and reclaim your life. This book is by Kerry R. Richardson, who helps people figure out essentially why they are keeping clutter, what the clutter is trying to tell you, what your clutter is holding you back from, why it's holding you back, what trauma it's helping you deal with, just the ins and outs of why we collect clutter and why we struggle so hard to get through it. I do think that I felt that at times the book repeated itself a little bit, but overall I really enjoyed it. I have a clutter problem, so I like to read books about clutter. If you haven't noticed, I have read quite a lot about decluttering and clutter. Look, I probably read more books about clutter than I actually fix my problem, but it's a work in progress and we're getting there. At least I'm borrowing these books from the library and not purchasing them. And let's not talk about my TBR bookshelf in real life because that's just emotions I can't deal with today. So if you have an issue with clutter, or you know of someone who has an issue with clutter, who is actively trying to work on it, I would recommend giving this book a read. The next book I read does actually go to one of my challenges. So I read Packing My Library An Elegy and 10 Digressions. This book was by Alberto Manguel. I hope I said that correctly, and I did listen to it via audiobook. This book goes towards one of my color me reading colors, and that is the color coffee, because of the little book on the picture being kind of like the color of coffee. I will say that this book was interesting. It is essentially a book about a guy who owns his own personal library. He has his own book collection. And when he moves from France, he packs it all up in boxes and puts it away. So this is essentially his discussion of owning a library, the libraries that you've owned over your lifetime, and also what that means, how that fits within life. Overall, I didn't mind the book. And I think that it is a kind of book that I would have been interested in writing. Like a book that you feel like he's trying to make some really meaning of life discussion, inspirational chat. And I'll say that at times I found it maybe to be a little bit pompous. So I think maybe I thought it felt a little try hard, like you're trying so hard to be inspirational, discussing libraries and all these books by all these like inspirational authors, classics, and how it's meant to fit together. And I just kind of felt a bit like, man, it's not that deep, but maybe it can be. And I think it was also a bit of an eye-opener for myself. Whenever you get on and you want to write a book or write a blog or even doing a YouTube video, you think you want to have some meaning in someone's life. You want to be inspirational. You want to change somebody for the better. You want them to think, you know what, like that meant something to me. But I think that you can't make that happen, that you can't force people to be inspired by you. So maybe it was a bit of a eye-opening in the fact that I'm not sure if that was his goal, but I know that that's something that I have thought about personally for myself. I've thought about writing a blog, but I always think like, where would I start? I would want this blog to mean something for somebody. And that holds you back from doing it. But in reality, even if you think about your own life, the people who have had such meaning on you, the books that have had such meaning on you, the things that have changed you for the better, probably the person who's actively involved in that change doesn't realize that that moment for you is life-changing. And maybe considering that I'm now having these thoughts based on this book, it was slightly inspirational, just not in the way that was originally intended. But I do digress. Overall, I did enjoy the book. It was interesting to listen to Alberto really discuss his life, especially considering where he came from and how things changed so drastically. He went through periods of time where books were burned and books were got rid of, and his discussion about that and his first library, his first book collection, and then his future book collection, and basically the place that they hold in your heart, and how if you go to a bookshop and see a book that you already own, like, it's like a nostalgia of reading a book or looking at a book that you already have in your collection, especially considering that his collection at this point was all packed away in boxes. And look, I must admit, I did think can relate to that, because a lot of my collection is packed away in boxes. A lot of my books are in boxes. And sometimes when I go to bookstores or libraries or, op shops, and I see books that I know that I already have, I do get this sense of loss, but also nostalgia, because I have kind of, even though the book is in a box somewhere, I've lost those experiences of looking at them because it's in a box. And then that nostalgic feeling of looking at the book that I've got in this op shop or bookstore or wherever and thinking, yeah, I've got you somewhere else. So it was interesting, and I did relate a bit to that. If you are interested in looking at books and libraries in a completely different view, I would recommend having a listen to the audiobook. He is the narrator, he narrates his own book, and it is an interesting journey. Just at times, I did find him a little bit, a bit too much for me. And the last book I read was also an audiobook, and that was Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World. This was by William H. McRaven. McRaven is a Navy SEAL, and he talks about his speech that he was asked to give to a class, a graduating class, or maybe it was university, I'm not really sure, but a graduating class. And this is his speech, but essentially extended out. And the main big point of it, to get your life together, to get your day together, to feel like you have achieved something, no matter how little, every day, is make your bed. It's something he learned very quickly in the forces. I really enjoyed this book, and I really enjoyed the tips and the tricks and the, I guess, rules that he was putting forward, the things that will get you through the day. And the stories related to how those rules for himself, those guidelines, those like little inspirational, words, how they come about. I especially liked the story about the group singing in the mud. I would say this is a bit of a self-help book slash inspirational life book that I would recommend to everybody. But I must admit, when I picked the book to read, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I thought I was going to be reading another kind of how to keep your house clean, how to keep your life in order kind of books. And it was that to some extent. It was a how to get yourself through life, how to handle the rough times as well as the good times type book. But what come out of it was not what I was really expecting. And I really enjoyed the read, especially because with this book as well, McRaven is the narrator as well as the author. So you're getting it in his voice and not just in his written voice. So I would 100% recommend reading this book. And I can vouch and say, and I'm sure that a lot of you can as well, if you take the moments to make your bed in the morning, by the end of the day, when you come into your room, when your things are getting hard, it just makes you feel more organized and like you have achieved something. When my bed is made, my day does feel a little bit easier than when it's been so rushed that I haven't been able to take the time to do it. And I must admit, I don't use a middle sheet. So I have a bottom fitted sheet and a quilt, but I don't use a middle sheet. So can you imagine how easy it is for me to make that bed? So when I have not made it, like, what is going on? You have not given yourself enough time at all. So definitely take the time to read this book, and as McRaven said, make your bed. So those are the 5 books that I've managed to read since the last update. I am not doing very well with my challenges. This year, I think I've only read 1 book that goes towards my hashtag Pan Your TBR Bookshelf, which I'll have the episode that I talked about that book linked up in the cards. But that was early on in the year. Since then, I have not read a book I own. Like, I own hundreds of books. I just can't explain it. Just why? And yet I still continue not reading books I own. It is a problem we have yet come to fix. I have read a few more of the Color Me Reading books, and I will put up on the screen now just a picture from my panning notebook where I note down how I'm going with my challenges and my panning activities. And as you can see, the colors that have ticks next door to them are the ones I have read. So I still have a ways to go. I would say that I probably could go back and look at the books I've already read and pick ones that would match those colors, even if it's slightly. But I didn't really want to do that. I wanted it to be very clear that that was the main color of the book. And maybe that is a failing on my part. I'm not sure what I want to do reading wise going into the end of the year and next year. At this point, we've only got maybe 3 months left of the year, and I'm hesitant to think I'm going to get all my challenges completed. I'm definitely not going to complete my hashtag TBR Bookshelf challenge. That one is just, that's never going to happen. But I do think I have a chance to get through my Color Me Reading challenge. I just need to buckle down and pick books that match this challenge. Like I said earlier, please let me know if you are keen to complete the Color Me Reading challenge again for 2024, if you would like Samantha and myself to bring it back for another round. Or let me know what challenges you are completing and what you think of them, because I might be interested to shake things up a little bit and try a different challenge for the new year. But until next time, I'm Verity. This was my Color Me Reading update, and now to the outro.